Welcome back to the podcast. This is KJ. We have a guest here today, Latrice from Paris Chic Code. Can you introduce yourself to us?
Hello, everyone. First, thank you for having me. I am Latrice from Paris Chic Code, signing in live from Paris and garbage alongside the street everywhere.
Listen, they're doing what they got to do.
Girl, yes, they are.
So, my first question to ask you, Latrice, is are you a certified teacher?
I'm not a certified teacher. I do have 2 degrees. I have one in international relations and another in French, but a teacher certification wasn't required for me to teach here since English is my native tongue.
Beautiful, beautiful. Can you tell us about your teaching experience, whether in the US or in France?
Okay. In the US, I had zero teaching experience. I had management experience. I come from a luxury background. I worked for Louis Vuitton in management for like 5 years. And then I transitioned to education when I was in New York very, very briefly. But my teaching experience is mainly in Paris because when I moved here, I didn't speak the language. And so I couldn't get another job, which would require me to speak French. So I started giving conversation classes like under the table at a university, and they ended up hiring me full time for a teaching position. And I've been there now for, I want to say like 8 years, which is nuts.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. All right. So I know you talked about being in New York and then heading to France. So why did you decide to relocate?
I wanted to learn French when I moved from, okay, well, let me rewind a little bit. When I was working for Louis Vuitton sent me to Paris for the first time, and I just fell in love. They sent us here for like a week to learn the arts of luxury. And I had to be like 20, let's say like 24, very, very young. It was my first time out of the country. And I was just wowed. So they sent you here for a week. They gave you a per diem. You had a room overlooking the Eiffel Tower. Then they took you to a chateau somewhere else. I mean, it was a big deal for someone who's 24 years old. And so the program, the training lasted a week. And I actually came a week earlier because I wanted to kind of discover the city for myself. And I had just fallen in love. It was everything that I had dreamed it would be. But my biggest mishap was that I couldn't speak French. And also with Louis Vuitton, I was in management in store. I wanted to go to corporate, and to be a part of corporate, usually you would need to have some sort of background in French. So I came back and I was like, I have to learn French somehow. I don't know how I'm going to do that, but that's what I'm going to do. So fast forward. So that's when I was in San Francisco. Boom, I moved to New York. And when I moved to New York, I had my 2-year degree. And in New York is when I finished my 4-year. And as part of my degree requirement, I had to learn a language. Naturally, I chose French. But because I was an older student, it was very, very difficult for me to master the language. So I said, okay, I'm not someone I don't like to feel like I'm failing. I don't like to do well at something. So I said, okay, I'm going to move to France or move to Paris for a year, and I'm going to learn the language. And I moved and never went back.
Okay.
Like a very condensed version of the story.
No, I love it. I love it. And I'm here for it, especially as someone who's followed you for a while and seen your journey there. It's beautiful, Latrice. And I think you made a great decision. I love it. I love it.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the support.
Now, you don't have much teaching experience here in the US, but what do you think about your teaching experience in Paris?
I love my teaching experience in Paris. Well, first of all, let's say this. I love it because I am dealing with university level students. I don't know if I would love it as much if it were like elementary school students or high school students. Also, one thing that I like most about my position at my university is that I have a lot of autonomy. No one is telling me, okay, this is what you have to teach them. You know how it is in the States, like you have a certain, like they give you what you need to teach, and the students have to learn this much in this amount of time. And it's not like that here. I teach them via project-based learning, and I can create my own projects. So it can be something about, I don't know, mass incarceration to something about, helping them pass the TOEFL exam. So I like having that autonomy to choose how I want to disseminate information to them.
Okay. So, next question. Name 2 challenges you faced since relocating.
Ooh, okay. One would be building relationships, like friendships. That was difficult for me initially, which is weird because I'm very extroverted. But French people have the tendency to be very introverted. So my network consists of, a lot of expats. But, that's kind of the norm for most expats here. Because when you're moving somewhere, I think, like in your 30s, I moved when I was like 30, I was either 33 or 34. No, 33, I think. I moved at 33. Like you usually have your like core friends, right? The people, your day ones, those are already set in place. And in one's life, usually you meet your friends at your job or your school, things like that. So when you are moving somewhere else, and for example, my situation where I work with only French people who are very like closed, it's difficult to build friendships. And also so that was my situation, right? Working with French people. Most expats here don't necessarily work with French people. A lot of expats are like entrepreneurs or they're doing remote. So then I can only imagine how difficult it must be for them to build friendships, right? Because as I said, the French can be very closed. Now, once you penetrate that outside layer, they'll bend over backwards for you, French people. But it's kind of hard to, get inside initially. So that's the first one. The second one would probably be dating. It's such a different culture here, as far as like men are concerned. It's so different from the United States. So it's kind of a hump to get over when you're dating someone and getting to know someone and being like, what do you mean that you want to be together? Well, we've only gone on one date, and all of a sudden you're like, you want to be together? Like, we need to get to know each other, but that's just not how things go here. Like, you go out and maybe you're intimate. Oh, honey, if you're intimate, you're like in love. Like,
it's all right.
I'm moving in, and it's like, what? Wait a minute, slow down, right? In the United States, we're used to, dragging things out, but that's very much not the case here. So yeah, I would say dating and probably building friendships with French people.
Which I can completely understand, especially moving to a new place, learning a new language. I think on their end, it's probably a little bit of hesitation as well. So I can see it.
Yes, it's a lot. It's a lot, like leaving everything and everyone behind and starting all over. It's much easier when you are young. You're like 18, 19, right? Because you're going to bars all the time, you're partying, you're meeting people. But when you're 34, you just want like Uber Eats.
And seriously.
You want to be at home. You may want to do a brunch, but you like are very much a homebody at that point. So it was difficult, but we got over it.
Yeah, you made it.
Yeah.
All right, Latrice, can you tell us what a typical day looks like for you?
Typical day, I have to be honest, it really is not that exciting. It is very much probably like a typical day of one anywhere else in the Western world. I get up, I very much try to do a little workout in the house. I walk to the office. I probably get to the office at about 11 o'clock. And then I leave at about 4, go home and maybe watch some Netflix, and literally that's it. And then get on the phone with everyone in my life from the United States.
I'm
So
here
I'm
for
ending
it.
my day, and all of my loved ones in the States are like starting their day.
Mhm.
So, yeah, that's like a typical day during the week for me.
Well, you make it look good. So,
I do make it look good. It is so not exciting. Everyone's like, "Oh my God, you're out and about," and I'm like, "I'm really not." Especially during the week. It's you know, it's. I live here, so I'm that tourist sort of not that tourist life is long gone. You know what I'm saying? I'm 10 years in now, so it's very normal. It's a very normal Parisian life.
well, I'm here for it, and I love to see
Yes,
it. I
thank
love to
you.
see it. All right, Latrice. Now, would you ever go back to the US?
Ooh, this is okay. I think most expats think that eventually they return to the US, and it's also a reason why some expats are like sometimes hesitant to befriend other expats, because you really get close to one another and then someone leaves, right? That's the name of the game in this expat life. um I do believe that I'll have to go back because of my parents. Um, I don't have siblings. Well, from my mother's side, I am the only child, and eventually, I will have to go back there and take care of her.
Of course.
Um, yeah. So I'm def. I don't see my life though full time in the States anymore, because I've been here for so long. I've been gone for a long time. Like my adult years have been spent a lot of time here, 10 years here. So um the only reason why I see myself going back to the States is um to take care of my mother.
Which is completely understandable. Completely
Yeah.
understandable. Okay.
But I will always have a foothold. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I will always have a foothold here, or some parts of my life here. I'm in the process of obtaining citizenship. So I believe that I will always spend a significant amount of time in this country.
Okay, Frenchie.
Yeah,
Okay.
period.
All
Period.
right. So, Latrice, what advice would you give your 18-year-old self?
Well, I would tell my 18-year-old self to start early. I think I moved to New York at like 28, and then I moved to Paris at 33. And the only regrets I have about those two things is like moving the time up. I wish I would have done it earlier. So as soon as I turned 18, I should have went to college in New York, right? And maybe by 23, 24, I would have been in Paris. Um, so the advice I would give myself is start early. Start early. If you have a dream, execute it as soon as you can. Don't wait.
Agree. Agree. I think that's
Yeah,
beautiful advice. And I wish, more people would really think about their dream and, don't let people hold you back. Don't let people discourage you. If you're young, go out and do the things you want to do, right? Listen to
absolutely.
Latrice. Listen to
And
Latrice.
please listen to Latrice. And it's funny when we talk about dreams. I had a conversation with a friend, um, and he said, I said to him, I said, I feel like you don't dream. And he said to me, I haven't had time to dream.
Mm,
It was always, work and take care of yourself. And I just haven't had time to sit and think about what my dreams are and how to manifest and execute them. And I think that's common for a lot of Americans. right?
Yeah.
We see our parents work, and we don't talk about what their dreams are, or they don't share those dreams with us, right?
True.
And we get caught up in the same sort of rat race. You go to school, you get a job, and that's it. We don't really talk about what our dreams are. And it's very unfortunate, it's very unfortunate that we don't have time to dream. And we don't have time to dream, and we don't have time to ponder how to execute those dreams.
Yes, yes, yes. And you said it. You said it. Even if we do dream sometimes, it's that
Mm-hmm.
execution, right? It's
Right.
how do I get from point A to B? And
Yeah.
many of us don't have time. We
We
don't.
don't have time. We don't have time, and we don't have sometimes a network of people who have manifested their dreams. So
Mhm.
we don't have anyone to talk to tell us, well, this is how I did it, right? Because we don't see it enough.
Correct.
I
Correct.
remember before I moved here, one thing that people kept saying to me is, that's when I learned about people's dreams. Is when I moved to Paris, no, it wasn't even Paris. I think it was New York. When I moved to New York and people were saying, I wanted to move away, I actually wanted to do that. And but I had kids, or I wanted to do that, but I couldn't because I had to do this. There were just so many excuses of why people can't live their, or people didn't live their dream. You can move away with kids, okay? Let's be clear.
Mhm.
You can manifest and execute your dream with a child, you
It's
know?
true. It's true.
So yeah, I learned about that. It was so surprising to me how many people, said, I wish I could have did this. I
Yes.
never knew about those dreams before until I said, this is what I'm gonna do. They thought I was crazy.
Well, you're not. You're doing what you're doing, and we're here for it. And I think that you are such an inspiration,
Thank you so much. I
to
tried to
many
be.
of us.
I
Such an
tried to be.
inspiration. Keep doing what you're doing, Latrice, because it hopefully it can inspire someone to say, you know what, I have this dream. I see her doing it. Let me find my way
Thank you,
in
sis.
executing it.
Thank you. And if I can be an inspiration to anybody, I hope I'm an inspiration to young Black girls, or 18-year-old Black girls who are finishing high school, and they're like, okay, what's next?
Yes.
It's
Yes.
it's it's a big world out there, and what's next is anything you want it to be. Anything you want it to be.
Correct. Correct. I love it. I love it. All right, Latrice, last question. Now,
Okay.
what's one question you wish I would have asked you?
Oh my gosh. All this thinking. What is one question that you wish? Uh, I don't know. Did you ask me if I have any regrets? Did you ask me if I have any regrets
No, I
about this
didn't.
exit?
I
Okay.
didn't. What?
Um.
Share, please, if you have any.
Okay. Let's see. Okay. My one regret. My one regret is that when I did move here, and I spoke a little bit about dating here and being in a partnership very soon. So within like the first month I was here, I was with a partner for 5 years.
Mm.
And that's a lot of time. It's a lot of time. And I don't regret that relationship because he taught me this language, he taught me the city. But my regret in within the relationship is that I was very much dependent on him here. And so when I was in that relationship, I didn't foster outside relationships. I didn't build my own network. I didn't build an online media persona to inspire. It was just very much focused on going to work, him and I doing a couple things with his couple friends, and his family. And I didn't really build something for myself, which is very unlike me. I've never done that before in my life, but it's probably a culmination of me being in a new city, new country, new language, and just me
Mhm.
feeling like I needed someone, right? And so when we did break up, I realized, the couple friends, they go with him because they're his friends, the family, they although they are still very pleasant to me, that's his family. And then I had to kind of like sit with myself and like be like, okay, girl, so what's next?
Mm-hmm.
Do you throw in the towel or do you hit the ground running? Luckily, I chose to hit the ground running, right? And I created a beautiful life for myself here. But again, I could have been doing that within those 5 years in that relationship, and I didn't. That's my regret here.
Okay. All right. It's a regret, but it turned into a beautiful story.
It did. It did. It did. And I always encourage women, because it's very easy, especially here, to meet someone and you're in a relationship and it's like, ooh, okay. Okay, that's checked off. You know what I'm saying? But it's very important to build a network. And not only just build a network, but build something for yourself.
Yes.
I've always been the type of woman that built something for myself, always, except when I first moved here. I don't know what the hell I was thinking.
Listen, it was the machete and everything else.
Child, listen, it was so much, but it was a lesson learned. And it's a teachable moment.
Yes.
A teachable moment.
Yes. All right. Thank you, Latrice, so much for sharing your story, sharing your time with us. Where can the listeners find you?
The listeners can find me on Instagram at Paris Chic Code Official. You can find me via my website at parischiccode.com. And those are the two places. I think you can find me on YouTube as well at Paris Chic Code. So I am definitely around, and I look forward to seeing you guys in my Instagram stories and on my Instagram feed.
All right. Thank you so much again, Latrice, for coming. Hopefully we could touch base again sometime, maybe connect again for a bonus episode. Next time we'll continue the conversation, maybe dig a little bit deeper.
Okay, I'm here for it. And again, thank you so much for the invitation and listening to my story. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right, listeners, we will see you on the next episode. Have a great day.